Hi, folks. This is Mark by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., for the Institute for Dialectical Metarealism. I talked about the concept of the maiden, Eve, the angel Gabriel, the dove, and other manifestations of the Holy Spirit as I see them to be. These great beings who reside in the Valley of Wonderment, or what is referred to in the Tanakh, the Old Testament, as Jacob's ladder. What I wanted to do now is to go a bit beyond what I did before and to talk about this subject from a more personal level, a more personal perspective, to put it into the context of what can these beings do for us? Why are they so important to us? Now, obviously, anything I say here is only my own personal opinion. It is inevitably speculative, but as a social theorist in sociology, I do a lot of speculation. That's what social theory is. It is sociological speculation. So I have no problem with engaging in speculation at all, nor do I think anyone should. I think speculation is what makes us human. Many of the great founders of science, many of the great theorists in the different sciences, like Albert Einstein, for example, began their projects through engaging in speculation. In many cases, their insights came to them during dreams. I remember the late Stanwood Cobb, who I met a number of times, a Baha'i from Maryland, who met Abdu'l-Baha numerous times as an adult, which is the unique part of it. He was in his 20s when he met the master. He once asked the master, "Do you know everything?" He says that the master responded, "No, I don't know everything, but if I want to know something, it is pictured before me as if on a moving screen," literally giving an example of what is sometimes called omniscience at will. There is no way that the master could have known everything. There is no way that any of us can know everything, or even know what we know at any moment in time. The knowledge that I have, for example, is stored in my memory. Everything that I have learned is not on the tip of my tongue at every moment of my life. That would be impossible. But if somebody raises a subject with me, if I have studied it, if I have read about it, I search my memory banks in my brain, I assume, and come up with whatever knowledge I have. So that's not exactly omniscience at will, but it's knowledge at will, knowledge based on my own particular memory patterns. I think that is very important for understanding how these great beings, these manifestations of the Holy Spirit, like Horia, the black-eyed maiden of white life, fit into our lives. To me, since we meet these beings, Baha'u'llah said, in our dreams, when we enter into the Valley of Wonderment, the world of dreams, and the home of these manifestations of the Holy Spirit, we are given knowledge. I know that many times I will be asleep and I will wake up with a thought that is just at the tip of my tongue. It is usually vivid. Now, the dream itself is not vivid. I very rarely remember my dreams, and I assume a part of that is the uh, large quantity of drugs that I take for my autism, my OCD, etc. prescribed drugs, I should say. But although I don't remember my dreams specifically, I will often, when I wake up, as happened this morning, recall a particular dream, or at least recall an interpretation of that dream that was given to me, I believe, by Horia, although maybe not. But my assumption is that because I feel that Horia is with me all the time, on the left side of my body, leaning on my shoulder, she is the one who rescued me from autism. I was born autistic, as all autistics are. I assume I was conceived autistic too, although I don't know that. Autism might develop during the process of fetal development, but whatever. I was born autistic. I have been autistic for my entire life. I will always be autistic, as far as I know, unless sometime they come up with a cure for autism. But although I was not cured of autism, when the maiden came to me, when the maiden woke me up from my sleep, bumping into my bed, saying, "Uh-oh," appearing at the foot of my bed as a being of light with a multicolored face and light shining from her entire body, her arms outstretched, when she gave me the gift of empathy, or as psychiatrists call it, theory of mind, meaning I had the ability to actually understand the thoughts of other people, the heart of other people, which before that time I simply could not do. So my experience with the maiden is very personal to me. I think that is where we all get much of our inspiration from. Sleep, dreams, I would say, in my view, are the innermost reality of this world. That means that the Valley of Wonderment in the Seven Valleys is the innermost reality of the world. As we go further and further in, we get closer and closer to God. We never approach him. God is unknowable. But he is also described by Baha'u'llah as the innermost essence of all created things. Innermost, not outermost. Many people picture God as lying above, or lying without, or perhaps as functioning as kind of an envelope with all of us contained within that envelope. I am not qualified to say whether that is right or wrong. I don't like those terms, right or wrong, anyway. I will only say that to my understanding, God is within, but everything is within. This material, physical world that we live in is the outermost plane of existence. Physicality, materiality is the grossest, most mundane arena of existence. But when we escape that, when we enter into the world of dreams, which lies within this physical world, the Valley of Wonderment, we meet these angels. We meet these manifestations of the Holy Spirit who are there waiting for us, watching over us, available to awaken us if we ask them to do so. As I've said before, in my view, these manifestations of the Holy Spirit appear first to the prophet of God. For example, with Baha'u'llah, he talks about how he was visited by the maiden. He says, "O king, I was but a man like others, asleep upon my couch, when lo, the breezes of the All-Glorious were wafted over me, and taught me the knowledge of all that hath been. The maiden, Horia, my own translation, the black-eyed maiden of white light, remains with Baha'u'llah as his constant companion for the rest of his life. She never left him. She was a beautiful being, not a human being, at least not human the way we think of human, in my view, but beautiful to Baha'u'llah. And when the maiden appeared to me, when I saw her at the foot of my bed standing there, I was too impressed with her enormous beauty. Now, I am assuming, of course, that this being who came to me is the same being who came to Baha'u'llah. Obviously, I have no way of knowing that. That is simply my intuition, my insight, my inner vision. That is what my heart tells me, that it was the same being. We all, in my view, when we sleep, we meet these beings, these awakeners, these manifestations of the Holy Spirit who are sent to us to awaken us from our sleep, if we are receptive to them. Now, as I look back on my life as an autistic, being an autistic to me means having a life of one failure on top of another. My life was filled with failures. I was terrified of my own shadow as a kid. I could not relate to other people. I could not love anybody, not even myself. I had no ability to connect with other people at all. I would pee in my pants in school. And I'm sorry if that sounds offensive. I don't mean it to be offensive. It's simply a fact. I would sit in my desk in school and pee in my pants, and a big puddle would appear around my desk. And I would say to myself, why did you just do that? And I couldn't answer that question. It was horrific. I would pledge to myself that I would never do that again until tomorrow, until the next day after that, and then the next day. And I would do it over and over and over again. I could not stop myself because I had no real connection with the outside world. So I did not know how to engage with it. I was lost. Like the gospel song says, I was lost, but now I'm found. I'm not sure if I'm found quite yet, but I'm certainly a lot closer to that than I was as a child when I literally was lost. I literally felt totally abandoned. I learned about God in Hebrew school, and I believed in God. Joel Bernstein, my Hebrew school teacher, made me a monotheist. He made me a monotheist. I did not learn about God at home. My mother was an atheist. My father was not, but he never talked about God. But Joel would talk about God in Hebrew school, and I believed him. Ethical monotheism, a God who teaches us morality, ethics, how we can learn to live in this world, not only to become better human beings ourselves, but to facilitate the transformation of others. And yet, did I understand God? Could I relate to God? No. I had no sense of what it meant to have a relationship with God. When I would pray to God, it was like I was praying into a vacuum. There was no sense of connectedness at all. It was a very, very depressing life because I needed something outside of myself, but it wasn't there. I was trapped in my own body, not even able to access my soul, and especially not able to access my heart. I was truly a lost human being until the maiden came to me, I assume in my sleep, then appeared at the side of my bed, as I said, woke me up, and gave me what I call intersubjectivity. Same thing, theory of mind, empathy, but I like the term intersubjectivity, a term coined by the German philosopher Edmund Husserl, because now for the first time, I was able to connect with the minds, with the hearts of other people. The world is in dire need of intersubjectivity. What I have seen then is that although a lack of intersubjectivity or a lack of theory of mind is one of the defining characteristics of autism, it is not unique to autistics. Not only autistics have this absence of a heart, are unable to connect with their own hearts and with the hearts of others. When I see the war, the conflict, the killing, the terrorism, the domination that is occurring all over the world, the thought occurs to me, the feeling occurs to me in my heart. What can I do to make the world better? I can do a bit. One of those things is making these podcast episodes, which I hope some people watch, which I hope some people derive a degree of benefit from, although I don't know that. But there's really not much I can do. I can talk to people. I can share my life with other souls, as I just did in a Zoom meeting, a Zoom behind meeting I finished. I can try. I can share my experiences. I can talk about Horia. I can talk about the maiden. I can talk about the other manifestations of the Holy Spirit. But I cannot give them the experience that I had. It was Horia herself who gave me that experience, who opened my heart to some degree of connectedness, who emancipated me from my autism. Not cure me. I still am autistic, but I'm not the same kind of autistic as I was 20 years ago. I am now an autistic with a heart. I could never even imagine peeing in my pants or doing anything that would offend or embarrass or disgust anyone again. And I can only imagine how much peeing in my pants must have disgusted the kids around me and my teachers. And yet I did not know that. I had no way of connecting with that. So the point of this episode is to encourage people to connect deeply in your prayers and in my prayers with these radiant beings, like the maiden, like the angel Gabriel, like the lacerated throat of the Imam Hussein, like the dove, like Radha who came to Krishna, like the angels in the burning bush, like the angels in the sacred fire, or like Eve who came to Adam in the Garden of Eden. That, I think, is something that we can all practice. We can all practice that by asking for it. That is what I do when I go to bed at night, I speak to Horia. I ask her respectfully, lovingly, and prayerfully to come to me. And as I said, usually she does. I gain insights. My heart gets bigger, becomes more receptive to the feelings of others. And that kind of spiritual receptivity is so lacking in this world. Yet, despite all of this, I know I am nothing. And I'm not saying that out of any humility or a desire to impress anybody. I know I am nothing. Not I feel I am nothing, or I wish I were nothing, or I believe I'm nothing. I know I'm nothing. No. I have certitude in that I am nothing. That is what the maiden has given to me, a sense of nothingness, as in the seventh valley, the valley of true poverty and absolute nothingness. Fana. Fana, an Arabic word which can be translated as self-annihilation. That is the seventh valley. It is the annihilation of the lower self, the annihilation of the nefs, or in Hebrew, the cognate is nefesh. As I annihilate my lower nefs, as I plead with Horia to come to me, to elevate my soul and to fill my heart with love, I want my nafs, my lower nafs, to simply go away, my ego to go away, because I simply don't want it. That is what the world needs right now. In this time of great turmoil, where suffering encompasses the entire earth, there is nothing that we require more at this particular time than a connectedness with these wondrous manifestations of the Holy Spirit, not to be confused with manifestations of God, that we meet in our dreams, who are these true awakeners, whether the maiden or one of the others. But I would suggest, if you, like me, are a Baha'i, that you ask the maiden to come to you. If you are a Muslim, ask the angel Gabriel to come to you. If you are a Hindu, ask Radha to come to you. If you are a Jew, ask Eve to come to you, for example. That is what we all need. We all need to connect with these beings so that when we are asleep, they can be with us. They can enlighten us. They can talk to us. They can communicate spiritual truths to us, which otherwise would remain entirely hidden. For the time being, this has been Mark, by Mark A. Foster, Ph.D., for the Institute for Dialectical Meta-Realism. Have a pleasant day and an even better day tomorrow.